Apologies. Phone filled up in space. We were just talking about the changing lines in our primary hexagram. Changing line 1, 4, and 5. 1 has the dragon that is underneath the surface, and it's not a good time to act. James DeCorn breaks changing line 1 down into 2 possible succinct definitions. A, there are concealed forces in the situation. Take no action when you are unaware of the hidden consequences. And B, energy is gathering in the unconscious psyche. Leave it alone. It will express itself when the time is ripe. And then changing line 4 says, the dragon leaps from the abyss, no blame. It also says in the commentary section, Confucius / like, he seems to be leaping up but is still in the deep. If he advances, there will be no error. Wilhelm / Baden's advance is not a mistake. Blofeld, for him to advance would involve no fault. The master said, without a permanent home either above or below, the superior man yet commits no error. He advances or retreats as circumstances require and conforms to the law of his nature. The superior man devoted to his work and the evolution of his virtue advances only at the proper time and therefore avoids mistakes. Miscellaneous notes, he tests himself. A change is in process. The power is not central, neither in heaven above, nor in the field beneath, nor in the human realm between them. Because he is perplexed and anxious about his choices, he will incur no blame. Both the 3rd and 4th lines of any hexagram belong to man and are intermediate between those of heaven above and those of earth beneath. Kung Ying Ta, to explain the difficulty in what is said on this 4th line, says that man is actually nearer to earth than to heaven, and is aptly represented therefore by the 3rd line and not by the 4th. In any event, the subject of this 4th line will move very cautiously and so escape blame. Notes and paraphrases. So, after a while, the man is confronted with the choice for public service in world affairs or solitude in further personal development. Either is appropriate if pursued in virtue and at the proper time. Wing, a time of choice is at hand. Because of amplification in your creative power, you must decide whether to enter the public eye and serve society, or whether to draw back and work on your inner development. Follow your deepest intuition and you will not make a mistake. James DeCorn breaks changing line 4 into 3 possible succinct definitions, A, B, and C. A, keep trying. B, the will is being tested through a transitional period. The power for advancement depends upon the self-confidence that comes with knowing you have made a correct choice. C, to stay on top of a changing situation, keep the faith and play it by ear. And then changing line 5, it says in the commentary, Confucius / like, the great man rouses himself to his work. Wilhelm / Baines, this shows the great man at work. Blofeld, this passage presages the emergence of a being who is truly great. Ritzimmel / Karcher, great people creating indeed. Wu, this signifies success of the great man. The master said, notes of the same key vibrate in harmony. Birds of a feather flock together. Water descends and fire ascends. Clouds follow the dragon, and the winds follow the tiger. When the sage appears, all men look up to him. Heavenly things ascend, earthly things descend, so does everything follow its kind. Miscellaneous notes. The subject of the line commands from above. This shows that his position is based upon heavenly virtue. The attributes of the great man are in harmony with heaven and earth. His intelligence is like the sun and moon. His procedures are like the 4 seasons, and his equilibrium resonates with the powers of the inner worlds. If he precedes heaven, heaven will not oppose him. If he follows heaven, he will follow its laws. If heaven does not oppose, how much less will men or spiritual forces? Apologies, down to 1 light here. leg. The fifth is almost always the place of honor and authority in the hexagram, and here the great man is seen as the sage on the throne. The argument is that as things of the same kind respond to and seek one another, so is it with the sage and ordinary men. They are of the same kind, though far apart, and when a sage appears, all other men look to him with admiration and hope. Chang Tzu says here that heaven and earth are another name for Tao, and that because the sage is in harmony with the Tao, or practical reason of the universe, how could men or spirits be contrary to him? James DeCorn breaks changing line 5 into 3 possible succinct definitions, A, B, and C. A, incredible energy is being released within the psyche. Maintain your connection with your best intuition. B, you are in harmony with your Tao. And C, you have all the power you need to achieve your goal. So the reason I bring all 3 of them up is that they're each clearly advising different things. The first line advises not acting, because the dragon is underneath and that power is welled up and not out yet. The third line has the dragon kind of like in between the two. So it's almost just time to make a decision whether to be in public service or to be working behind the scenes to influence things. So it's like a decision point. And then the fourth line, changing line, is the dragon is out, flying in the sky at this point, and it's like the great man or the sage being on the throne and acting with the will of heaven. Our secret hexagram, which is the hidden influence behind things, is 34, great power. And it's interesting because, our primary hexagram 1 is the dynamic, which is like the ultimate of that concept. (34). And it says about the great power, never strike until you can strike at full strength. Be alert, be vigilant. Great power attracts great danger. Align yourself with heaven to strike with the force of heaven, and never with the force of arrogance or vanity. Do not use excessive force. Be tempered, measured, and fair. Only one who is weak would be merciless. Great power subjects one to great injury, a favorable omen for fulfillment of destiny, but be wise, or else your blessing can become your downfall. Thunder and lightning in the sky, exalted strength, the making of greatness. The sage observes the ways of ritual, ceremony, courtesy, and propriety. Every gesture of action in rites and in the details of etiquette reflect the whole of one's character, favors and gains to come. Great power puts a flock in danger. Be alert and vigilant, an auspicious omen. Hexagram 34 corresponds with the vernal equinox and thus symbolizes progress, growth, and fertile times. The interplay between hexagrams 33 and 34. Hexagram 34 denotes great personal power and accumulating an abundance of resources to further your endeavor. If hexagram 33 was about retreating and laying low until you're ready, then hexagram 34 is the oracle telling you you're ready. Strike at full strength. However, there is a foreboding undertone, one warning of conspirators who envy your power and strength. So with the secret hexagram bidding us to strike, and it says that we're ready, yet changing line 1 says not to act yet. It's almost as if we're to use our discernment in the matter to see which of the 3 changing lines we're in at the time in any given situation, whether the power be underneath the surface and it's not a good time to act, or it's kind of like between, both out and in, like a leg in each, and there's a decision to make whether or not to be in public service or to be influencing things from behind the scenes, or whether it's a time like the secret hexagram suggests where use the full force of heaven to strike and act. And that force of heaven is our primary hexagram, one, heaven, the dynamic. So these all really, really correlate very well together and all give a very similar message of there's a lot of power in the reserves, and whether that power is welling up underneath the surface in order to be used at the right time, or that there's a decision to use that power and come into the public fore, or to remain hidden and use it behind the scenes, or to ascend the throne as the sage, so to speak, and influence things publicly and work with the will of heaven, along with what the secret hexagram suggests. All we have to take in the context of degeneration having accumulated, though it's auspicious to cross the great stream. What a concern should be in the situation is to correct degeneration and to fix what has been spoiled. And in that, there was the idea of we need to act at the proper time and have a good exit strategy. So there's a before the seed day 3 days and after the seed day 3 days. So it's almost like if we're going to be taking action, there should be a general idea of the things leading up to the action, and then what to do after the action is taken. And in Liu Yiming's Taoist I Ching, it talked about before the seed day, what to do with yin to keep yin from overtaking yang, and then what to do with yin energy after as well to keep it from degenerating things. So it's kind of like different things need to be done at different stages depending where we are in terms of that action being taken, whether before it 3 days or after it 3 days. We need to have kind of like a general plan of how we're going to go about things whilst acting with heaven's will, and all with the goal to correct degeneration and to make a choice at a certain point whether or not we want to do that in a behind the scenes kind of way or one which is public. We will read chapter 9, 48, 7, and 47 of the Tao Te Ching. Starting with The Eternal Tao Te Ching by Benjamin Hoff. Excess. Fill it full, the cup you hold. Will that not then prove excessive? Over thin the blade you file. Will it protect you for just a while? Fill your hall with gold and jade. Will you be able to keep it safe? Gain wealth, acclaim, and arrogance. Will they not harm you in abundance? Achieve results, then back away. That is heaven's way. We'll also read it from Jia Fufeng and Jane English. Better stop short than fill to the brim. Over sharpen the blade, and the edge will soon blunt. Amass a store of gold and jade, and no one can protect it. Claim wealth and titles, and disaster will follow. Retire when the work is done. This is the way of heaven. And then chapter 48. Out of Benjamin 1.5. Decrease. To pursue study, increase every day. To follow the way, decrease every day. Decrease, then again decrease, in order to arrive at without striving. Without striving, yet without not acting. To take hold of the nation, always use without busyness. Reaching for it while holding busyness will not be sufficient. And out of Jia Fu Feng and Jane English, 48. In the pursuit of learning, every day something is acquired. In the pursuit of Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less is done until non-action is achieved. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. The world is ruled by letting things take their course. It cannot be ruled by interfering. And 7. Able to endure. Heaven is eternal, and earth lasts long. Why are they able to endure? Because they do not live for themselves. That is what enables them to live on and on.